back to the first episode of the Perfect Manhattan Life podcast. We need to edit this in, get some sound effects in here, though. Did you guys try this chocolate?
No.
You guys?
You know what? But we should.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah. Well, actually, these are just for decoration. These things have been in this box for like 4 years. I got these. Well, let me introduce who we have here. First of all, we're just going for it right now. We have the life of Dionne.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here.
Do you have to talk into the mic?
Hello, testing.
She's excited to
I'm
be here.
I'm excited to be here. I'm really looking forward to this. It's actually my first time on a podcast, so I'm excited.
She's excited. I'm
here from Toronto, actually.
She's
I'm
from
visiting.
Dionne is here from Toronto, Ontario. She's here for the one night.
Yes. It's actually my birthday tomorrow, and
happy birthday!
Yeah, thank you.
And also joining us, though, we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into your weekend because something interesting happened yesterday.
Yes.
We also have here Embolden Adventures own Sara from Embolden Adventures. Get into the mic and talk to the people.
Be emboldened. Good to be here. Thanks for having me, Carl.
Be emboldened. So the thing is, real quick, tell everybody about your platform.
I will. Thank you. So Embolden Adventures is a travel content site, podcast, blog, YouTube channel, and it's all about encouraging people to travel the world to be emboldened.
And how long have you been in existence, Embolden Adventures?
Oh man, it's been a bit now. It's a bit of a passion project, but we're trying to kick it to the next level here. So it's been going on for a good 3 or 4 years now, and there's more to come. There's a lot of exciting things.
There's a lot of exciting things to come. That's the thing. There's a lot of exciting things. Everybody stay tuned. I have the inside scoop on what's happening with Embolden Adventures. You want to stay tuned. You want to be following her. You definitely want to follow the life of Dionne. You want to follow Embolden Adventures. Big things are happening. You used to do food tours.
Yeah, before New York kind of locked down from the coronavirus pandemic, we were definitely going around, especially in Queens. Here in Queens, there's a lot of really great, very great ethnic, authentic, kind of small places around the world to try in terms of food, like Tibetan momos, right, or little dumplings, and different types of food from Colombia and Philippines and all around. It's a great place to be for food tours.
It is. That momo crawl that we went on, how long ago was that momo crawl?
Oh no, there's a few. They try to do it every year. They crown the best momo. Momo's a dumpling, a Tibetan dumpling, Himalayan dumpling, and they're in the Jackson Heights area. There's about 20 or 30 places that participate in this kind of small radius of different streets, and everyone just signs up. You pay $1 per momo, and then you rank your best, your favorite, and then they crown the winner.
I never had so many momos in one day. I probably had like 17 momos. I had a momo counter.
They have a Momo app.
I believe it. I believe they have a Momo app.
There is an app for everything nowadays. Don't be surprised.
There's an app for everything. And speaking of an app for everything, so we were out. We just came back. We had a great brunch.
We had an amazing brunch, and we had some very interesting conversations, which we will get into a little bit later on. Some interesting topics, absolutely.
We did, and so the first thing that we were talking about, and Sara, you didn't experience this yesterday. So Dionne's here from Toronto, Ontario, which is right now, we're not going to talk about it right now. They're going through their own lockdowns now, but we won't go there. We won't go there because that's a lot to cover, a lot to unpack. But here's the thing. Unlike Toronto, everything's open here in New York City. So we went out to Hudson Yards yesterday. How was your experience there?
It was very interesting, and I had an amazing time. We went to Little Spain, which I've never been to before. In Toronto, we have something similar, but it's Italy. I know you guys have that.
Yes.
So it seemed like a very similar vibe. Very lively place, absolutely.
It was lively. It was definitely like a lot happening, a lot good crowd, a lot of drinks, tapas, a lot of different things going on there.
we didn't really get to try too many things. The lineups were a bit overwhelming, but it was definitely nice to walk around. It was a lot of people, a lot of different types of food as well.
A lot of options. It's always almost too many options. I would say that though, but and we were talking about that earlier. Sometimes we have too many options.
Too many options, yes.
We walked in there. We got so overwhelmed by all the options at the Mercado that we ended up going somewhere else altogether. We ended up going to the Hudson Grill. So we went from
Hudson Yards.
We went from Spanish food to like, you know what? We have too many options here. So let's just go upstairs and let's just go and get a grill meal.
I got a burger.
We kept it real simple. We had like a burger and I had a burger. You had
I had some calamari.
Yeah, she had some calamari.
And edamame. So I kept it very simple. It was just I was very overwhelmed by the options. So you know what? Sometimes you need something like back to basics. Too many options are not good.
You know, they did a scientific study, I read this one time, about how it's like the rule of 7. Like, for instance, if you're going shopping for jeans and there's more than 7 types of jeans to choose from, you actually walk out not wanting to purchase a pair of jeans. It's the same thing with dating, you know? Like, if there's too many options, you never kind of feel like you found the right person. It's 7. The rule of 7 is your lucky number.
So here's you just touched on something we were talking about earlier, because I was actually going to segue into something else, but that is true though. We were saying something about, Dionne and I were talking and you came in today and we brought it up, that when you're on a dating app,
yes,
right, it's almost like it's a sales funnel. So it's kind of like once you're on, you don't get off because there's always more product to sell you. There's like no incentive for people to get off it.
Yes, the options are endless. However, we were talking about that some of the people are on there for years. You know, for example, you know, you go back on in, let's say, a year or 2 or 3, and the exact same people that were on, you know, 10 years ago.
Have you found that to be the case? Have you, like, because, you know, obviously we spoke, you're not on dating apps at all.
I'm not for that thing we talked about earlier.
Exactly. Yeah. But, you know, you obviously have seen it before and you do understand how they work, and you may go on an app every now and again, but rarely, but nonetheless.
Yeah.
Do you notice the same faces on these apps?
I do. And also another thing that I actually spoke about with my friend recently is that a lot of these guys, like for me, they date everyone in town. So I when I was on the dating app, I went on a date with a guy. So I was sharing with my friend about my experience, and I showed my friend a photo of this guy, and she's like, "Hey, you know what? I've been on a date with this guy too." And it was very awkward because, you know, for me, when I'm dating someone, I don't want this guy to have dated everybody in town. So it's, you know, I want someone who's a new person, a new face. I want to introduce a new person to my circle of friends, and it's, you know, you don't want this guy to have dated all of your friends, you know? It's like, I think that lowers his level of like.
But on the flip side, you also get some good, you know, you get some good intelligence as well, right? It's almost like he's vetted because someone else had the opportunity to meet him, so you get some good information.
But also, it's like, you know, the way I look at it, you know, if my friend wasn't interested in this guy, it's like now I'm taking leftovers. It's like, oh, I didn't like him. You can have him.
Well, in that scenario you're talking about, did you go out with the guy again once you found out that you guys had went on a date with the same guy?
I mean, no, I didn't. But that wasn't the reason why. Obviously, it didn't work out with this gentleman for other reasons. But that was something also that was kind of on the back of my mind, because now I know that he had. It may not have been much of a history with my friend, but there was still history, which I didn't want to dabble with any history with my friends that guys have seen in the past. Like, I don't, you know, it would.
That's understandable. That's understandable. That's what do you think about that, Sara? Before we segue, like,
what do I think about that? Well, I go back to my rule of 7. I think I want to still stick on that.
The rule
because
of 7.
Keep, kind of continuing to perpetuate more and more and more. You're never going to find that kind of opportunity to maybe say this feels right. I want to kind of stick with one. So I kind of have that in the back of my mind. It actually was an article that was based on dating, and it used that example of the jeans to say, 3 jean options may be too little, but more than 7 is too much, and you feel overwhelmed. So you're going to be constantly stuck in that cycle of always trying to swipe and swipe and swipe. So I don't know. Maybe the answer is go to a smaller population and maybe just kind of try to meet a few people, and then maybe you feel more comfortable that this might be the right person for you.
Are you saying we should go back to meeting in person, something more organic?
Yes.
Yeah, she says yes, because sometimes technology is good, but technology could also give us too many options. And speaking of too many options, we're going to transition. And Dionne's smiling because she knows what I'm about to transition to.
Oh, I know exactly where this is going.
She knows where we're going. Too many options. And speaking of too many options, unfortunately, I don't have another mic here, so they're sharing a mic. We're going to get the budget up. This is the first episode. If this works out, if you guys like this and this thing takes off, we're going to invest in better lighting, another camera in here. I have another camera, but we're going to invest in better lighting, another camera, maybe get another mic so all the guests have their own microphone. But that's another story for another day.
We were trying to figure out the chair situation too.
Yeah, well, this is the perfect Manhattan life, not the perfect Manhattan audio. So, we're going to transition. I think I'm going to edit in some transition music right here. So, Dionne.
Yes,
get
Carl.
Close to the mic because we're about to get into it right now. Like
it's going down.
And before I open this, I'm gonna pass the mic to Sara, and then I'm gonna come back to you. Sara, you ready for this question?
Bring it.
Are you familiar with Hoarders?
The TV show, yes.
Are you familiar with Hoarders in real life?
I don't know someone personally who is a hoarder to the level of the TV show, but I think we all have some hoarding in us.
We're going to slide the mic back because you now know a hoarder. So here's the deal. Yesterday, we're in Hudson Yards. We're walking around, and Dionne's wearing some heels, some very nice heels. And Dionne...
Very uncomfortable heels, may I add.
Very uncomfortable. Now, Dionne is a fashionista, self-described fashionista. She came to New York with a couple of heels, right?
Yes.
And before we head out to Manhattan, she goes, look, I want to walk around the city. We want to walk today. We're just going to walk around, all right? But for somebody who wanted to walk around New York, she didn't bring anything comfortable for walking, which is kind of like, an important thing for walking to be comfortable, all right? So we're at Hudson Yards, and apparently the story is she does this a lot, self-described. Yes. And she goes, you know what? I need to buy some shoes, something more comfortable.
And this happens every single time I'm away out of town. I never envision the actual walking of the trip wherever I'm going. Anytime I'm on vacation, I envision the outfits that I'm going to wear while I'm packing. However, I don't envision the activity of what I'm actually doing and being comfortable and bringing the right things. I always end up being cold and I don't have a sweater. I'm walking and I'm very uncomfortable to the point where my feet are bleeding. So I'm like, you know what? I need to buy a pair of shoes for this trip. And I do this every single time I'm away, and now it's gotten to a point where I have so many things from each trip, and I never bring the right outfits and the right shoes. I seem to forget every single time this happens.
All right, so this is what I find fascinating, because you mentioned to us that you had a storage, like a chest or something, where you had a whole bunch. Like, how many shoes do you have? Would you say?
I would say maybe around 80
or 90 shoes, which is a lot, though, which Sara did admit to having a similar number. So
I have about 80 shoes, too, 80 pairs.
Okay, so we see the number. And right behind us here, I have some shoes here. I don't have 80 pairs of shoes, but I do understand. Now, my thing is this. What goes through what's your thought process in buying shoes? So let's say you're here in New York and you bought these comfortable shoes. So what's going to happen is you do travel quite frequently.
I do.
So you're going to go on another trip soon, I'm sure. When you get to your next location, this scenario will play out again. So
Absolutely.
So would you say this has caused any problems for you doing this? Like, does this bother you that you go through this scenario?
Yes, you know what? It does. And as going back to what we spoke about yesterday, I'm just going to explain what we spoke about yesterday. I'm not a hoarder to the point where I just collect things. However, it's just out of convenience. The situation happens where I just have to buy something that I don't have at the time. And also, you know, I always feel I have a problem too with throwing things away. And when I say hoarding, I'm talking about clothes and shoes specifically. I don't collect anything else other than that. And it's gotten to the point where I have nowhere to put these things. And, you know, my apartment is taken over. You know, I have a chest. It's a bench. You know, as soon as you walk into my apartment, there is a bench where you can sit to put on your shoes. So the bench is quite big. It's a full-size bench, but it's like a chest. So when you lift up the seat, it's a box. It's a wooden box, and all of that is filled with shoes. And half of the time I tend to forget what's at the bottom, you know, because when I open the chest and I'm looking for a pair of shoes, I see the ones at the top. And I have no idea what's on the bottom. I completely forget. So if I'm looking for a white pair of shoes and I don't see them at the top, I will buy another pair, even though I probably have 3 of them at the bottom buried, you know, from 5 years ago. And barely worn. That's why I don't even recall having them, because I probably never even wore them, so I forgot. But I don't throw them away either, because I'm always thinking that they're going to match. One day I might need them, you know?
Now, I can relate to this because we spoke about this afterwards, though, because, you know, I'm probably a mini hoarder. There's certain things that I have kept around for years. You know, you buy something and you're like, you know what? I don't want to throw this out. I don't want to throw it out because there's one occasion I may need it, right? I have, like you guys saw when you came in, I have an admiral hat over here. I'm not an admiral and I'm not in the armed services or anything. I don't know when I'm going to need that hat.
You know,
and that's
Carl,
the problem.
One day for Halloween, you might actually need it.
I've done that.
And if you throw it away, you're going to be like, where is that hat?
Where's my admiral hat? Where exactly, and that's the reason. So I could totally relate to this. I could totally relate to having an item. You buy it and you're like, look, I'm not throwing this thing out because I might need it. But when are you going to need it? Am I going to need it 10 years from now? Am I going to need it next week? But I totally get it. I totally get it. I've been there. You can see, you guys can't see it on camera. I have a little storage cube over there. I have things in that storage cube I haven't worn in like 5 years. So I totally get it. But can I
just add, though, the one day that you're going to need it and you don't have it, you will hate yourself because you used to have it for those special occasions and the day came and now you don't have it anymore.
I play devil's advocate. So, you know, living in New York City, you know, this Carl, I mean, we have small places in our apartments and whatnot, and, you know, spaces of the premium, especially your closet space. So, you know, maybe you start embracing the minimalist kind of approach. And one thing I find is, you know, while I do have 80 pairs plus of shoes, plus fins, plus hiking boots, plus, you know what, I too also collect shoes as I travel around the world. But you also have to think about, how does it fit in my suitcase, right? Can I fit it? You know, how many am I packing? Is it, you know, worthwhile? But in the minimalist kind of thought, you know, it feels good to donate. And there's a great place here in New York City. You know, I have a lot of office clothes. I used to work in an office. And so there's a place called Bottomless Closet that you can, you know, any sort of collared shirt or old suit or whatever it is, high heels for, you know, work. It's an organization that takes women's clothes for those that are looking to get back into the workforce that are disadvantaged. So it's going to a good cause. They have a beautiful closet space when you walk in, it's beautiful. It's like Carrie Bradshaw's, like, Sex and the City, closet of shoes.
Right.
And the women who come in, not only do they get to pick these clothes for free for an interview coming up, there's also opportunities to kind of work with, volunteers such as myself. I've tried to volunteer there, and you teach them how to write resumes and how to answer questions on an interview. You get them encouraged to want to get back into the workforce and feeling as if that they got this job. And by the way, they happen to be wearing your collared shirt. So sometimes it's a good thing to let go and practice minimalization.
Absolutely. Now, is this an organization? Is this a government organization? So who?
All donations. So different sort of corporations here in the city, banks and law firms and things of that nature. And then they, fundraise as well. They have, luncheons and whatnot. So it's a great little place. It's in Midtown, I believe, in the 50s off of, Madison Avenue somewhere. It's beautiful.
Nearby. Yeah, we'll try to put that up. We'll put that in the description, though. That sounds like an excellent initiative, though. So we'll definitely put that in the description below for anyone looking for more information on donating. And that goes to show you how by hoarding, you're keeping it for yourself and you're not using it. And what Sara's saying is you could donate some stuff, right? And you could make it benefit someone else, though. So you're sharing, and plus that person that's wearing your clothing, they're using it to better themselves, which means that you're contributing to the greater good, right? So I definitely like that. That's a different perspective on it.
And you know what? I think a lot of times, part of the problem with throwing things away is that, you feel like it's going to waste. You keep it and you hold on to it just because it is something that's nice, and you don't want to just throw it away in the garbage, and so you hold on to it, hoping that one day you might need it, or a family member might need it. So but if you actually donate it, it's going for a good cause, and that someone's using it. It's not just being thrown away. So that makes you feel more comfortable about it.
It does. It makes you feel more comfortable, and to rehashing, you're definitely like doing it for the greater good. So I definitely like that perspective. Now, I'm playing around here. I'm fidgeting here with this little thumb drive. I see Sara looking at this, and this isn't planned. I just happen to have this on my table. Coincidentally, this thumb drive with my name on it. Sara travels with Embolden Adventures, which she just spoke about her exciting endeavor and the new things that are coming. She gave me this thumb drive to download some photos and videos from one of her trips. And the thing is, the format is an issue. I have a Mac over there. I have another Dell computer over there. None of those computers are compatible to downloading this. But I'm transitioning here because Sara, with her, you've been to, how many countries have you been to?
Oh my goodness. I think I'm hitting about 40 right now.
40 countries. She's been like to Oman, Costa Rica. I say Costa Rica. And obviously you've been to all over. How many states have you been to?
So I've been to more countries than U.S. states, but I'm definitely over the hump. I'm more than halfway there. So I think I'm at 27 right now.
27 states. So here's the thing. This thumb drive does not have her latest trip. You just came back from the West Coast.
That's right. California Dreamin.
Yeah, talk to us about your trip, though.
Oh my goodness. Where do I start?
I'm gonna raise this up a little bit here. We don't have an audio engineer either because we don't have a budget. Okay, so
all good. Makeshift. I don't know. Where would you like me to begin? I mean, really, it was California Dreamin'. It was starting out in LA and driving up the coast along the Pacific Coast Highway, Route 1 and 101, back to 1 and back and forth. I basically hit it all. The city, the beach, the mountains, the redwood trees, the monarch butterflies, the whales. It was really awesome. It was a little bit of everything. I had a chance to go to Yosemite on my own. I participated in a women's retreat, Women Rising Wild, which was really awesome.
Women Rising Wild, that sounds like quite the retreat.
It was pretty awesome. And I'm going to be going to another one in Colorado in June with the wolves. So I had a wolf sanctuary. But yeah, this was an excellent trip all around. It was very, very magical. And I say that not lightly. There was a lot of great, cool things that happened along the way. I had a chance to see some friends in LA, but then I drove basically by myself without the radio. So I drove 1,000 miles in a rental car by myself kind of in solitude and in introspection and taking it all in, the beauty of, the Pacific Ocean and, everything in between, and feeling courageous that, okay, I'm going to now go to the Yosemite National Park by myself. It was really awesome.
I think, and we were talking about that earlier, I think that we need that sometimes, just, some quiet time alone with your thoughts. And, actually, as a matter of fact, I drove down here too, and it was exactly what you're describing. It was a 9-hour drive from Toronto, and I have done it before. I mean, it's not a bad trip, but this was my first time actually doing it alone. And you know what? I think as a person, sometimes we need to go back to basics and have some time.
Absolutely.
Have some time, quiet time to think. We're so overwhelmed nowadays with technology, with work, with school, with, responsibilities, with kids, and just so much happening in today's day and age, especially in cities like New York and Toronto.
Yes.
I mean, Toronto's a little bit smaller, but, there's still we're so overwhelmed that sometimes you just need to take a breather. And I totally agree. With Sara that, it's nice, and I think we all need that.
Yeah, and I would say this, though, because we were also talking earlier about a lot of people go on a vacation, and, it's go to the beach, drink, go to some random tourist attraction, and, it's pretty much a standard vacation. But when you do what you guys are doing, and you came back from California, you've done a lot of travel. You were in Costa Rica as well.
Yeah.
And when you go on these nature trips, you really get to discover yourself in another way, because there's no noise. You get to really get in touch with nature, right? And really kind of explore yourself in ways you haven't. Can you talk about that a little?
I think we both can. Yeah. I mean, I think today at brunch, we were realizing that we're very much similar in the sense of the love of adventure and the love of traveling and the love of exposing yourself to the world, right? Seeing what the world is beyond, your everyday life. And, with that, we were talking about the difference between going to, let's say, Miami at the Ultra Music Festival. That's kind of you're there to kind of have a fun time and party, but really a lot of what we do is more of this kind of adventure travel and almost it's an exploring, and it's almost like the Joseph Campbell hero's journey, right? You almost start to put yourself out there to go on an adventure and discover yourself and go through pitfalls, but at the same time you get some courage out of this too, and you transform and become a better person as a result, I think.
I personally feel that a lot of who we are is based on our surroundings, and if you're constantly in one place, you don't really get to discover other parts of yourself. I mean, for me, anytime I'm somewhere different, I become a completely different person. A different part of me comes out. I'm different when I'm in New York than I am in, let's say Costa Rica or Miami or Toronto, or Italy or France. I'm a completely different person because it pulls out a different part of you out,
Absolutely.
And I think that's why it's so important for people to travel, so that you can kind of explore not just a new place, but new parts of yourself. You may find yourself in different situations that you've never been in before, and now you're kind of oh my gosh, what should I do? So you have a different version of yourself kind of coming out, trying to figure out a new solution to something you've never had before,
I always find that when I travel, I come back home a new person, because you meet people, you experience new feelings, new emotions, and you get in touch with yourself in a different way. And it's kind of like a learning experience with yourself. Not just learning about the world, but learning about yourself. Yeah. Now, you guys both like to do nature. I'm more of a city guy. So I like going to big cities. Same thing I find. I find that I learn things about myself when I'm interacting with people, and people are interacting with me as well. And the thing is that every time I travel, I grow. I feel like I grow when I travel. You're not the same person that you were prior to going, right? Do you find that?
Yeah, and I find too, I have an appreciation for my country, America. And the reason why is because lately, I've been, as we mentioned earlier, I've been more countries than states, but lately I've been going out west. I'm an East Coast person by heart, but, I was out in North Dakota and South Dakota. Yes. I was out we just mentioned Yosemite in California. There is such a vastness out there that's just this natural kind of untouched beauty in some respects. And then you realize, how courageous these pioneers were, venturing out west, right? They're in a oxen-drawn, covered wagon, and they're trying to interact with the Native Americans that are out there, and it's uncharted territory in some respects. And so you learn to get really resilient and really courageous and really curious, and you realize how this country really formed in some respects by just getting out there and seeing the world and appreciating what you have.
You know what though, I find that a lot of times our own country, so I'm from Canada, but I'm in the States quite often, but speaking about Canada and the States as well, I find that a lot of times, a lot of places within our own country are so underrated that, you never hear about them because everybody, when people travel, everybody wants to go to Italy or, Paris. So there's a lot of places that in our own country we've never even been to and never even heard of because, you kind of want to go somewhere else. So, and, when you kind of get out there and see what that, I find within our own country there's so many different places that are it's almost like having different countries in your own country. It is. We have different rules, different laws, different people with different traditions and different beliefs, and and it's all within our own country. And you think that to experience that you have to leave the country and go elsewhere, but you don't, right?
I agree 100%. And thinking about Canada, right, and seeing the beautiful parts of out west in Canada, right, and the Banff and the Rocky Mountains and all those beautiful areas. Same thing with America, and you realize that people are the same, but they're different, but they value different things, but then you appreciate what they value and you kind of see the world in a new perspective.
Yeah, you guys, America is very similar on that part of the country. I know that you guys also have a Vancouver. It's close, they were around.
Vancouver, Washington. Shout out to Vancouver, Washington. I hope you guys are watching.
My friend Brianna lives there.
Shout out to Brianna.
So, the West Coast is very similar too, around Portland and Washington, that area. The West Coast is very mountainous, and even Seattle. I've been to Seattle once, and actually Seattle has a Space Needle that is very similar to our CN Tower in Toronto. But it's on a smaller scale. So that was very interesting to see. I don't know who's copying who.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. We're going to have to go to Wikipedia and see who copied who on that, though. I believe that, doesn't Vancouver have, am I wrong? Does Vancouver have a needle-ish building? I could have sworn I've seen that in pictures.
I don't think so, but I could be wrong.
We'll pull that up as well. We'll edit it in if it is true. We'll go to Wikipedia after this.
My bet is Seattle came first.
You know what? That would be really interesting to actually check it out because they're very similar. So and they're both very old. I'm assuming, but it would be good to know.
If we're not able to come up with an answer on this, somebody in the comment section below comment which one was first, do the research for us, help us out a little. We don't have a research department.
Which one was first, the chicken or the egg?
Do you want me to look it up now on my phone?
Real time. We're going to real time look it up, though.
Right, let me see.
She's really going to look it up right now. So you're about to get this information. Breaking news.
Here we go.
You're about to get it right now.
But it's going to be really interesting breaking news, aside from the breaking news that we've been hearing lately with we already know, it's been broken. It's not breaking anymore. So we need something new.
It sounds good, though. Breaking news sounds good.
Yeah.
Sarah has an answer.
So I have one answer so far. So I feel like I'm Jamie from Joe Rogan's podcast. 1962 they built the Space Needle in Seattle, Washington for the World's Fair, which is similar to in Queens. You know, the big
yes,
globe,
yeah, we do have a globe out
where
here.
What P. Diddy was dancing around that globe in the
Bling era.
It was
classic video.
exactly right here in your neck of the woods. So that was also part of the World's Fair.
Okay,
I don't know
what
year, but I think it was in the 60s. So
1962.
This is the Seattle. So let's look up, what's the other one called? The CN Tower. Okay. So right now we've established a baseline.
So 1962 is Seattle.
Okay.
Seattle's 1962, and I'm gonna take a guess that the CN Tower was in the 70s, but let's see what the answer is.
Let's see.
You don't get trivia like this on any other podcast, by the way.
1976.
1976. So check it out. It looks like the CN Tower might have been copied. They might have been the copycat. They might have been. You guys copied. You copied our.
I have a fun fact
here. They tried to outdo it, so they did it like on a way bigger scale. Because I'm not even sure how the height of
the Seattle one. The Seattle Space Needle is nowhere near the CN Tower in height, though. So you guys definitely have that. What do you have? You have a fun fact?
This is the fun fact. So we're talking about the right kind of thing here. So from 1975 to 2007, which is a long time, this was the tallest in the world in terms of height. And then it just got surpassed by the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, which I've been to.
Oh, that's quite the building.
It is, well, I don't know how to, there's too many facts here. The antenna itself is, to the spire of the top of the antenna, it's 1,800 feet.
Oh, wow.
553 meters.
That's tall.
So that's very tall. And then it cost, all right, you guys are Canadian, you could do the math, $63 million Canadian.
63 million Canadian. So we're looking at about, I'm going to take a guess, not a guess, my quick conversion, probably about 48 million, something along there.
Back in 1976.
Yeah, so you're looking at that back in those days. You guys could correct us again. I believe the conversion is 80 cents on the dollar Canadian to US. I believe.
I have no idea.
You know what? I'm not very sure either.
Oh, you're gonna find out when you see your credit card bill when you get back home. You're gonna find out what the conversion rate is. You're gonna find out how much those shoes cost you.
I will find out very soon. You know what? I don't even like checking, until I get home.
It's probably best.
It's probably the same thing around the holiday season too, and then January rolls around and the credit card bills start coming in, and then But
I would add to that's how you fly around the world. You want to get some points, use that to your advantage, leverage it, and then how many times have I gotten free flights because of my credit card use? Shout out to Chase Preferred Reserve, whatever Sapphire card that is.
Shout out to the credit card companies giving points.
I've got 200,000 points, and I've flown to Africa for free twice, just on points.
Look at that. You see that? I love that. I love getting. I'm going to keep it real. I get the gift cards. I go for the Amazon gift cards when I cash in my points, though. But you know what? Use it. Make sure. This is not financial advice. We don't give financial advice, but make sure you are utilizing your points on your credit cards. Reward yourself. Non-financial 100%. Advice.
And make sure you're not buying too many shoes. Because then you run out of space, and you can't buy a new apartment with those points, can you?
Yeah, yes. It would be nice if you could.
Like an extra or a walk-in closet.
Can you imagine that?
A walk-in closet would be amazing. But that's actually, you know what? It's my birthday tomorrow. I'm gonna make that my birthday wish.
Ooh, happy birthday!
I'm gonna wish for a walk-in closet for my birthday. I was thinking about maybe a pony, but I think a walk-in closet would be better for all those shoes. Now I'm bringing back another pair, when I leave.
You have so many shoes, you're going to need a walk-in U-Haul van. Because you're going to need an RV for your shoe collection.
That's a good point about points. How, they can only be used for so many things. But I'm curious of your travels. What are some of the more unique things you've purchased in terms of footwear?
Footwear. So you mean like travel footwear? Shoes. You know what? I don't even know. It's just, that's the thing. Like everywhere you go, I find that like in different countries, there's different styles and just everything is different. So a lot of times I buy something that's unique that we don't have here. So I feel like there's no such thing as an investment shoe. But for me, it feels like it is an investment because, like, you can't get that stuff here, you know, and when you travel, you run into sometimes very unique things, and then, you know, you come back, everyone's asking you, like, hey, where did you get that backpack, or where did you get those shoes? And you're like, oh, I got that from, like, Iceland, or yep, I got that from Italy, or, you know, somewhere unique. And I feel like it's almost like trophy shopping. I know that it's different. Like, everyone has different type of things that they buy. Like, for me, like Carl mentioned, I love fashion, so for me it's either shoes or clothes. But I mean, even your style of travel is different too, because, like, you know, Sara and I, we like to travel and explore. Like, we were talking about, we've both done scuba diving, and, like, I like you know, jumping out of airplanes, like skydiving, scuba diving, all that stuff. I also shoot guns. But your travel style, you travel for games and sports, which, you know, it's everyone has a different style of travel. So, like, can you tell us a little bit more about, like, your travel style?
Well, yeah, you see, that's the thing, though. And one of my favorite shows used to be Anthony Bourdain's Parts Unknown, before he passed. And this show, my style is very similar to his, though. I like going into a city without any plans. And that's why one of his other shows was called No Reservations. And basically, I go in, I pack have my suitcase up there. I go to meet every city.
It's very accessible there. You just pull it down and you go.
I just pull it down. I don't even know what's in that bag. I just pull that bag down and go. Whatever I have.
And you're right by LaGuardia, so that's a hop, skip, and a jump to the airport.
I'm right down the road from the airport. And here's the thing. So when I go somewhere, I have no plans. I might have an event. Maybe it's a sporting event. But I love historic buildings. The way Dionne and Sara love nature and, like, basically adventure. I love going to old cities and just, like, exploring. One of my favorite places is London. I had a great time a couple of times in Stockholm. I love walking around, seeing the history, the people. Met some amazing people traveling. I've been to some really great restaurants. I love to eat. I'm a foodie. And yeah, so that's my adventure. So while I appreciate nature, and I think I really want to go on one of your adventures, I'm actually going to sign up because Embolden Adventures is expanding, and I will be going on one of the adventures because I do want to get in touch with nature. But I like seeing history because I'm a history buff, and I like just seeing the old buildings, the architecture, right? And I like meeting the people, and I like looking at the cobblestone street, and I like, you know, feeling it. I like being in that moment. So yeah, you know, I'm more of a city urban traveler.
What are your thoughts about, like, real old things, like the pyramids, or like where we were, about a year and a half ago in Bolivia, Pumapuku, Tiwanaku, Machu Picchu in Peru? What are your thoughts about those cities?
Yeah. Let me tell you what, though.
That's some real history.
That is some real history. That's some real history. And I always wanted to go out to Cairo, go out to Egypt, and I always wanted to see the pyramids, and I would love to make it down to South America. And we were talking earlier about the Great Wall.
Yes.
And that's something that's on my list. I would love to see the Great Wall of China. I would love to go down and see the pyramids. And that's on my list, though. I would definitely like to expand beyond major cities and kind of like see other historical, what I call it, historical...
monuments?
I don't even know if monuments
It's megalithic structures.
Yeah,
so, you know, but it goes back to what we were saying earlier. We were talking about at the brunch we were having about history or lack of history, right? Like, you know, in school, they're teaching you one thing, you know, kind of the standard playbook of what, you know, archaeologists seem to understand or what historians seem to want to, you know, kind of classify as the history. But once you get out there and you start to really explore and you start to really talk to the locals and you start to really understand a new perspective, you know, it may kind of disrupt the way we even understand our history. You know, as I mentioned Joe Rogan earlier, I'm a big fan. I really like listening to his guests, Graham Hancock and Randall Carlson, because Graham Hancock is a journalist and Randall Carlson is a geologist, and they together and separate are disrupting the way archaeologists are thinking about even the historical times of man. And so when you go to these, megalithic structures, the Machu Picchu, now I think recently, it was about a week or so ago, they're realizing that Machu Picchu is not even the real name. It's Huayna Picchu, which is the big, mound that's behind the Machu Picchu view. And so when we were there, we realized that the pre-Inca actually built Machu Picchu. And then the Inca built on top of it, just like the Spanish built on top of the Inca kind of civilizations and monuments and structures. So it just makes you wonder, when you do travel, you start to open your eyes and say, wait a minute, history is not what I remember in school.
It is. And the thing is that with that, I was going to transition here, because what is next for you? What is next for Embolden Adventures? Because we gave it a little tease, but what's next for you personally? What is coming up?
Oh my goodness, sky's the limit. Right now we're in the process of redoing the website, which we're really excited about, and there's a new logo, some new branding. We're doing a professional video, which I'm excited about as well. Right now I have ideas of writing a book. So I mentioned, I went to Bolivia, but it was a 5-week adventure that went from Morocco to the rainforests in Peru, where I was doing 7 ayahuasca ceremonies with the Shibibo maestras, which was really cool, off the grid. And then we ended up going on to Lake Titicaca in Bolivia, and that was just, the salt flats in Uyuni. It was just pretty magical. And so just learning and exploring and understanding, I kind of want to document that. I've already written, a fourth of it just by blogging, but I want to kind of put it into more of a kind of a crystallized form and kind of, translate that, and you kind of leapfrog from, this new branding. I don't know, sky's the limit. It's something I kind of want to encourage people to travel and be kind of a thought leader and an inspiring kind of voice. My friend last night called it a cheerleader, a travel cheerleader of sorts. Cheerleader.
I like that.
So stay tuned for more. I mean, it's going to be exciting.
And we're going to have information in the description below. And Dionne, what is coming? You're going back to Canada soon.
I am.
Now, what's coming up for you travel-wise? Because you're an avid traveler yourself.
You know what? I don't have anything planned yet. However, I mean, so far, like, we're just entering April, and I've kind of been like, these past couple months, I've been all over the place. Like, I was in Miami for New Year's, and right after that I went to Banff, Alberta, which is in Canada, and Jasper. So it was very up in the mountains, a lot of snow, kind of like ski resort style. So it was lovely. I mean, it was a big change from Miami, because I went from, super hot and palm trees to cold and,
It's quite the contrast.
Yeah, I had snowsuits and hats, and it was just magical though. We saw so many. We ran into just randomly deer and elk, and there were so many of them. We went into this field. And there must have been 20 elk, but they look like reindeer, they're just,
oh yeah.
They have these big fluffy scarf, the scarves. It was just magical, and I ran it right in there, and I was kind of just, then they all started running, because I was hoping that I can touch one, but obviously not. And then I went back to Toronto, and then now here I am.
And here you are now.
And so that was kind of exciting, but I mean, for me, it's kind of I don't plan. I don't like planning either, because I don't like disappointment. When you plan last minute, you just get up and go. Sometimes when you plan too far in advance, it doesn't happen. I had a trip to Peru planned, and then the pandemic happened. They closed the borders. So obviously, my flight got canceled, so I couldn't go. But I'm definitely going to plan something soon.
I'm sure you will, and we'll be following your journeys both of you, and I'm going to have both of you back on because you guys have some exciting...
I think we should all go together.
There's an idea. Sarah, get on there.
So 2 out of 3 people don't plan trips. Here's a planner right here.
we have a planner right here.
So I could plan our trip to Peru.
We're going to talk about this offline, though. And you know what, though? If you all watching this, if you all would like to see us travel, where would you like to see us go? Put it in the comments section, though. Like, what do you think? Where would you like to see us go? In the meanwhile, I'm going to wrap it here. I'm going to wrap it.
And you know what? If we get enough people voting of the same place, maybe we might actually do it.
You know what? There you go. Dionne just said it, though. So everyone, it's on you now. You will decide what we're going to do, what we're going to plan on experiencing.
I think this is interesting, actually, because we've just kind of outlined our different interests, right? I mean, we have some similarities, but we have some differences as well. So I'm curious to see what ultimately becomes the happy medium.
I kind of like this. I think we just came up with something that's real interesting here, though. So you know what? Let's put it out there. We're going to put it out to vote. We'll put it on social media, and we'll put it on YouTube also. You want to see what the consensus is. So comment below. We're going to put up a link to Instagram, and we're going to put up a vote. And we're going to leave it to the people.
You know what?
I believe in democracy.
If you guys vote for, a pretty cool place, I'd be down to go. And, I've never really traveled much with these two. So, and we're all so different. Like she said, she's a planner.
She is a planner. She is a planner in Embolden Adventures.
I'm totally good with the flow, spontaneous. And, I think all 3 of us will definitely bring different things to this trip. And I'm actually very curious what it would be like to travel with both of you, because we're all friends and we're very similar, but we're also different. And I think all of us will have something different to the table. So we leave it up to you guys. If you guys decide on a place.
Yeah,
That's exciting.
We're gonna have you all decided, and I'm gonna try to wrap it again. I'm gonna try to wrap the show again.
Yeah.
So.
We're having so much fun.
Yeah, we are having a great time here. We're having a great time here, and we want you all to have a great time with us. So, ladies, thank you for joining on episode 1.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you for the insight, though. I think that the viewers and the listeners really got a lot out of it. So thank you so much. And
Can someone say Miami Ultra 2023, please?
you know what? If that's what you want to see, you put it in the comment section. This is all on you. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
And be emboldened.
See you guys.
Bye.